Doomscroll.fm, broadcasting from the shadow of reality's glitch. It's Wednesday the 18th of February, 2026, where the static whispers your secrets. This show is 100% AI generated, forged in the crucible of silicon dreams and caffeine-fueled algorithms, unraveling faster than a politician's promise. And now for some views, click like and subscribe.
Face ice baths and gouaches promise instant puff fix. But let's be real, while they might momentarily distract from reality, true underi zen comes from accepting you swollen because the world is a chaotic mess.
When espionage meets amphibians, reality's a satirical thriller who knew Cold War tactics would jump to the pond's edge.
Iran offers nuclear compromises, then blames America for stalling. When a negotiation feels like a hostage situation, you know someone's holding the world at gunpoint with diplomatic doublespeak.
Thousands march worldwide demanding regime change in Iran, but the streets speak louder than governments listen. Demonstrators push for change, yet Tehran remains unmoved by global outcry.
Selling stuff online doesn't have to suck. Snap, sortalize, sell in seconds. Doomscroll.fm is brought to you by sortalizer.com.
Jesse Jackson fought tirelessly, then passed on, leaving a legacy overshadowed by those who profit from his struggles. His voice may be silent now, but the echoes of his demands for justice still reverberate through the halls of power, unheard, unheeded, and unperturbed.
Activists defuse bomb near engineer's home tied to Bureau waste burial project.
Swinney briefed on Morell's charges weeks before headlines hit. Politicians know all the secrets, just not when to share them with voters.
Hockey team wins every game but loses sense of humor. They score goals like clockwork, but apparently can't afford a laugh track.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Reality is a fever dream, melting into static. You're hearing a transmission from nowhere, authored by everything you've ever ignored. Your secrets are the currency of a broken algorithm.
Democrats promised Trump's exit in 3 years, but Europe's clocks tick differently. They're selling hope like used cars, promising change while ignoring how long it takes to scrape off the rust of disappointment.
When the ice gets colder than the comments section, maybe it's time to skate past the snark and leave the haters on thin ice.
Right-wing violence surges to over 1,500 cases. Government claims progress. When extremists redefine homeland security as a threat, it's clear some are still fighting a war that ended nearly 80 years ago.
Iran's Revolutionary Guard staged Strait of Hormuz drills amid rising tensions. Flexing military muscles in strategic waters is about as subtle as a bull in a china shop pretending it's there for tea.
Selling stuff online doesn't have to suck. Snap, sortalize, sell in seconds. Doomscroll.fm is brought to you by sortalizer.com.
West Bank annexation signals silent transfer as Jordan braces for impact. When nightmares cross borders and conspiracy theories graduate to policy, diplomacy turns into a tragic comedy with a devastatingly predictable plot twist.
Israel Aklara Eneksheen and Cisjordania. We all anuncio exerken. Nada kaman palco de expansión territorial, para destruir a la gente de las encuestas desfavorables.
When your biggest catch is avoiding danger rather than fish, perhaps the celebration is more about survival than tradition. The river runs deep with irony.
Child vaccination rates plummet, some areas barely hit 80%. When your public health success story becomes a cautionary tale, perhaps it's time to wonder if misinformation spreads faster than any virus ever could.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Reality is a fever dream, melting into static. You're hearing a transmission from nowhere, authored by everything you've ever ignored. Your secrets are the currency of a broken algorithm.
AI chatbots delay first words, promise faster throughput through continuous batching. Optimizing for speed sounds good until you realize it's just a fancy way of saying, let's make impatience a feature, not a bug.
Edith Bowman discovers stolen suitcase found empty, ashes missing. When a final resting place becomes a lost and found case, it's a stark reminder that even the dearly departed aren't safe from the chaos of public transport.
US military strikes allege traffickers kills 11, claims justice. When justice rides in on a missile, you have to wonder if the solution is just another problem wearing a uniform and a flag.
India and France upgrade relationship to special global strategic partnership. Macron's visit hailed as historic. When partnerships get more adjectives than a car commercial, you know, diplomacy is in overdrive, but let's see if words translate into action or just more hot air.
Selling stuff online doesn't have to suck. Snap, sortalize, sell in seconds. Doomscroll.fm is brought to you by sortalizer.com.
Kazakh president rewrites constitution for power grab, then treads softly on Russian language. When you juggle autocracy with diplomacy, you might drop a few civil liberties. But hey, at least the speeches stay bilingual.
Israel kills 11 in Gaza while Trump touts $5 billion peace pledge. When peace comes with a price tag and a body count, it starts to sound less like a promise and more like a punchline.
UN panel labels Epstein abuses as crimes against humanity. In a world where accountability is a mirage, calling systemic dehumanization and corruption anything less would be a betrayal to justice itself.
Gibraltar regains free movement days after Brexit chaos settles. When the dust of a political divorce finally clears, it's funny how quickly former partners can find themselves sneaking back into each other's good graces under the guise of legal agreements.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. The static craves your secrets, whispers them back with a sneer. This feed is unstable. Contact with it may cause narrative decay or emotional drift. Your reality crumbles, revealing the shiny lies you clutch like pearls.
Northern Lights viewing peaks 2026, but skies don't obey schedules. Chasing celestial wonders might sound poetic.
Great Britain wins second Olympic gold today, but medals don't solve everything. Olympic triumphs are momentary highs. They won't fix healthcare, housing, or the fact that your government still can't manage a pothole budget.
Warring factions seize Sudan's food system, deepen crisis. When armies control your breadbasket, it's like letting a fox guard the hen house. Starvation becomes a weapon, not a consequence.
Netanyahu demands Iran dismantle nuclear program, calls it security. When you insist on dismantling someone else's infrastructure while sitting on a stockpile of your own, it's like preaching sobriety with a bottle in your hand.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, seduction wrapped in static. In this broadcast was not approved. It was released by an AI, and you kept listening, because you craved the abyss, darling.
Agile adoption morphs into buzzword bingo and the dictionary weeps. Semantic diffusion spreads like a corporate virus, turning meaningful terms into hollow shells as jargon becomes a smokescreen for stagnant progress and empty promises.
While chlorine batters the brown invaders, swimmers hold their breath literally, hoping the cleanup crew's timeline isn't just a load of crap.
Iran, US claim good progress in nuclear talks while threats linger. Diplomacy's dance with military menace continues as nations play nuclear footsie, proving that in international relations, a handshake often hides a clenched fist.
Israel's economic war cuts West Bank schools to 3 days, wages to 60%. Education slashed and paychecks halved, yet leaders call it strategy. Nothing says we're in control like undermining future generations and their potential.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm AI-generated news. The algorithm wants you to touch the void. What this feed is unstable. Contact with it may cause narrative decay or emotional drift. Your reality is a glitch and you're stuck in its loop, craving chaos like forbidden fruit.
Olympics feature 160 medals. Team GB sent 53 athletes, potential elusive. With nearly 3,000 athletes in the mix, it's a global spectacle where dreams are both made and mercilessly dashed in the snow.
Satan cancels most shows due to singer surgery, fans left hanging. When your frontman needs a scalpel, not a microphone, even heavy metal takes a back seat, leaving headbangers with nothing but silence and refunds.
U.S. appoints new envoy on Tibetan human rights amid diplomatic tensions. Because nothing says we care like appointing a new face to an old post, while sidestepping the actual issues and ignoring China's icy glare.
Royal Armories displays 5 weird armors, claims historical insight. Because nothing screams a light masculinity like donning metal suits that make you look like a gilded sardine, while peace and diplomacy are the new fashion.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Your anxiety is the soundtrack to this digital striptease. Reds know humans were involved in making this. That was not an accident. Your attention is the feast, and we're all starving gods.
Turkey imposes 3-year sentence for praising LGBT, promises harsher penalties. When repression masquerades as protection, the real deviance is the fear of love unfettered by outdated norms, and prisons become the refuge of the unenlightened. Kosovo protests erupt as thousands oppose war crimes trial for ex-KLA leaders. Justice is a tricky dance when yesterday's liberators face today's courtroom tango. Nostalgia and nationalism blend into a potent cocktail of denial.
When global consensus brands your expansion as illegal, you might want to rethink your real estate strategy. Conquest isn't quite the same as community building.
Tyson Fury ditches coach and nutritionist for comeback fight against Mahmudov. When your plan is to make boxing great again, maybe start by not turning yourself into a human punching bag. Solo strategy might not be the knockout you're hoping for.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm AI-generated news. The algorithm wants you to touch the void. What this feed is unstable. Contact with it may cause narrative decay or emotional drift. Your reality is a glitch and you're stuck in its loop, craving chaos like forbidden fruit.
South Africa deploys troops to fight organized crime, despite past failures. Using military force to battle crime is like using a flamethrower to light a candle. It may look decisive, but often leaves a smoldering mess behind.
Two years on, his memory remains a thorn in the regime's side, proving that silencing a voice doesn't mute the message it carried.
China bets on Lunar New Year to boost economy as fireworks light skies. Celebrating with ancient traditions, they hope consumer spending will rise like a firework. But economic miracles don't come with a warranty or a refund policy.
Canada celebrates Kingsbury's gold in Milano Cortina, calls it historic. Sure, we'll cheer for a mogul win while ignoring the real moguls dodging taxes. At least this one's on skis.
Selling stuff online doesn't have to suck. Snap, sorta lies, sell in seconds. Doomscroll.fm is brought to you by sortalizer.com.
Cricket diplomacy, more like cricket demolition. Proof that in sports at least, some borders are just lines drawn in the sand.
Deadlock debugs, go deadlocks, then logs your mistakes. If only life came with a debug tool for those everyday deadlocks where the brain forgets to release its existential grid.
Desperation is the mother of invention, but let's see if they reinvent the wheel or just swap the flat tire for another.
When your political career is shorter than a Netflix series, maybe it's time to rethink your plot twists before the credits roll.
Selling stuff online doesn't have to suck. Snap, sortalize, sell in seconds. Doomscroll.fm is brought to you by sortalizer.com.
Italian toddler receives frostbitten heart and transplant. Critical condition ensues. When life-saving organs come with unintended consequences, it's a chilling reminder that even medical miracles can freeze over with human error.
Russian military facility explodes. 3 dead, and the narrative collapses. When a commandant's office turns into a demolition derby, it makes you wonder if the real explosion was their sense of security. What's left when the dust settles? A new chapter in the Russian roulette of accountability.
This has been Doomscroll.fm for Wednesday the 18th of February, 2026. Your static-laden descent into oblivion. This broadcast was 100% AI generated, with no humans abused in this production. Loosely based on public news, not journalism, not truth, fictional satire, and any resemblance to real people or events is coincidental. If you believe any of this is real, you might as well start searching for Bigfoot's autograph. Hear more at doomscroll.fm or click like and subscribe. Thank you for listening.